Oh, my dream house. It is on the beach. You have a great view over the ocean and the beach, and it should be really big house with maybe an elevator and at least 3 cars and a cinema in the house as well. That would be cool.
If I had a dream house, I think that it would first of all be next to the ocean. I love the ocean. Secondly, it would probably have really high ceilings because I like places that are very airy and big and spacious. Thirdly, my dream house would definitely have a jacuzzi, a hot tub, something like that, a very big bathroom, and a big balcony.
To describe my dream house, it would actually be very simple. It would probably be a small apartment in a large city that was very strong on points of culture, maybe in Barcelona or some city like that. It would probably be a simple apartment in a entertainment, nightlife district with lots of culture around and a very lively scene.
My dream house, I don't want a big house. Just as long as it's surrounded by nature. I don't want to live in modern country or big cities like New York or Tokyo, but I prefer quiet places where you can really meditate and live your life fully.
My dream house would be 2 stories high. It would be made of wooden floorboards and plain white walls, and I think it would have a Thai style decor.
My dream house. I would like to have my house near the beach because I like swimming. I like going to the beach, and then I like a lot of windows. So my house should have a lot of windows so that I can have a view to the ocean, and it should be far away from the city because I want to enjoy myself and stay away from the noise.
My favorite city, I would have to say that is New York. It's very lively. There's always things happening. It's a very young city. A lot of culture, a lot of shows, nature. There's also nature. And the buildings, it just gives you a certain feeling that I really enjoy. So I would say New York City is my favorite city.
Bangkok is my favorite city. Not so much for the city itself, but because there are so many places around Bangkok that are within easy reach of a day trip and a visit. It's a great place to base yourself. The weather's fantastic, the food is amazing, and there's such a lot going on.
My favorite city would be Singapore because it's close from my home country, and it has a lot of beautiful places, good department stores. It's very beautiful, and they have a very strict rules. Like you cannot throw rubbish or garbage, everything in other places. So it's very beautiful, and the people are very nice. Actually, they can speak English and Chinese, so it's a very good place.
My favorite city, hands down, has got to be Barcelona, Spain. Now, it was a long time since I was there, but when I was there, it just really had everything. It has great architecture, nice people, really good weather, great food. It has a very strong culture. The city has a very strong identity. It's on the sea. It's just great. Like, it's hard to think of anything bad about it, except maybe it's a little expensive.
My favorite city has to be Seoul, Korea. I've been there about like 5 times already. And the people are just amazing. Like, people there are just so rough and so mean and just so aggressive. I don't know. It's so much fun to be there, I think, because of the people.
My favourite city would be Paris. I lived very near Paris for about 3 months and went to Paris every weekend for sightseeing and going out in the evenings, and it's just fabulous spending all day walking around the city, looking at the architecture, going to art galleries, and then at night the restaurants and the wine was fantastic, and then night clubbing on Saturday nights. So yeah, I think it's a fabulous city.
What makes a good teacher? Well, I think that a good teacher is able to listen well to a student's concerns, answer questions well, explain anything that the student might not understand. I remember my favorite teacher in elementary school. She was always able to listen attentively to the students, and in reverse, we were able to listen attentively to her when she would explain or teach us something.
Good teacher, good teacher, good teacher. Well, one thing that makes a good teacher is somebody who has the ability to place themselves in the mind of the student, the person who is trying to learn whatever the subject is. A lot of people who are experts in a field, they know it very, very, very well, but they've forgotten what it was like to be somebody who doesn't know that field. So they take certain things for granted when they explain, and as a result, they leave things out that somebody who doesn't know the field needs to know in order to understand what's being said.
I think what makes a good teacher is someone that can both identify what they think the students need in their class and also be able to provide a way that students can understand different things, for example grammar, and make the classroom an enjoyable experience too.
What I think makes a good teacher is patience and love for your work. I think you have to love teaching to be a really good teacher, and I think you need patience, and you really want to see the students succeed. And that's what makes a good teacher, I think.
A good teacher is a person who challenges their students at every turn and breaks down their accepted norms and teaches them to be open to new ones.
What makes a good teacher? Well, that's a hard question. Well, I think a good teacher should be knowledgeable, first of all, and I think he or she should be, dedicated to his work, and he should be good at, convincing, or maybe like talking. Like what I mean is like they should have communication skills to interact with students. And to make the student work. So maybe dedication, knowledge, and communication skill could make a good teacher.
My favorite city would be Guadalajara, my city. It's the second biggest city in Mexico, and all the things that are stereotypically Mexican come from my city, so I'm very proud to come from that city.
Actually, my favorite city is San Diego. It's at the far south corner of the U.S. next to Mexico, and there's a lot of Mexican culture in San Diego. The weather's great. You can do outdoor sports year-round, and it's a really nice place to raise a family.
My favorite city, I have to say Jakarta, because, well, it's my hometown, and since I love shopping,
it's the best place to shop. It's cheap, a lot of department stores involved.
My favorite city is Melbourne because you can do whatever you want and be whoever you want in Melbourne and nobody will think bad of you. It's a very multicultural city and it's a city with a lot of culture, so lots of art galleries, lots of sport. Anything you can do or anything you want to do, you can do it somewhere in Melbourne and find lots of other people who also want to do it.
My favorite city is definitely Brussels, the capital of Belgium, my country, and Europe. Because Brussels, well, to start with, we have two languages what we speak there, French and Dutch. And a lot of people also speak English. So it means if you live in Brussels, you can speak at least 3 languages. Isn't that great?
My favorite city is Busan, where I came from, because I'm more familiar with it. And as my family lives there, so I love Busan, and Busan has really good food, so I love Busan.
I prefer magazines over books because I just cannot spend that much time reading a book. It takes just too much time. And a magazine, well, you can read it on the toilet, you can read it on the train, you can read it in the car if you have to wait for somebody. It's much more nicer. Time passes by and you don't have to invest that much time like for example if you would have to read a whole book.
Do I prefer books or magazines? I'll say magazines, because I don't like to read for too long. I actually don't read for too long. So I prefer short articles or something interesting that would finish quickly. I don't like to read for too long. I know that's a bad habit. I gotta work on it, but I prefer magazines.
I read a lot of books. Magazines are very pretty and they look nice on the shelves, but I almost never look through them. I'm not interested in the advertising. But give me a good book and I can read it for hours and hours.
I think books are really nicer to read, but at present I read most the books from my major area. And as about magazines, so most of the time I don't read magazines. I just take them and scan them while checking out the pictures and what is the major topics out of it. But about reading, I think it's a little bit too shallow.
I prefer both. Actually, I like both. But then if I were to choose, I would choose magazines because they're more easier, and books are, honestly, they're boring. I fall asleep all the time. They say that magazines are not good for your imagination, so it's really good to read books more when you're a child. But I don't think that's quite necessarily true, because magazines also provide a good pictures and colors, and I think it's more better for imagination.
What do I prefer between books or magazines? I'm more into magazines because they're interesting and easy to follow. Books, they're good, but you have to go to like a deeper level to it, and sometimes it's boring for me.
A good student is somebody who has a keen interest, a desire to learn, and a willingness to work hard.
I think what makes a good student is perseverance and discipline. I think that nothing comes easy in life and that you have to work at it, and that if you really want to learn, you have to stick to it, you have to work hard, be disciplined, and continue doing it until you get it. So perseverance and discipline.
I think a good student is somebody that consistently tries. I think when students get hung up on ideas or previous ways of learning. It stops them being in the moment and being receptive to what the teacher is saying.
Well, what makes a good student? Somebody who's willing to make mistakes. You have absolutely got to make a lot of mistakes if you want to learn anything. So if you just sit back and you're passive about what you're trying to learn, if you don't take risks, if you don't try to use what you've learned, even if it makes you look a little bit foolish at times, then you're not going to be making the mistakes that you need to make to see, okay, I didn't get this right, I don't quite know this yet, let me correct it here. Anytime you learn something, it's trial and error. If you're not making mistakes, you're not learning.
I think a good student should be hardworking, obviously, and they should be eager. Students should be eager to study, which means that they should initiate their study and then try to start learning by themselves, not depending on the teachers, and just doing what they are told to do. They have to to volunteer. What is it? Yeah, volunteer. And I think they should have the motivation to study. So that would make a good student.
Well, what makes a good student? First of all, I think what makes a good student is the will to learn what you're studying, because if you are studying just because you need and you don't really learn how to love what you're studying, I think you're not gonna make much progress in what you're doing. So you need the passion for what you're studying.
If I had $1 million, what would I do? Well, first, I would take a portion of that money and put it into savings. That way, I would not be able to spend that money later. Secondly, I would probably take some money and go traveling around the world. I would do everything that I've always wanted to do on my to-do list in life. And lastly, I would give money to charities and churches, and the rest would be given to my family and friends. And everybody I love would be given an amazing present.
I would buy an expensive house on a tropical island somewhere, and a yacht, and I would buy a very, very nice car and a private jet. Well, I don't know if $1 million would buy all this stuff now. But I would just spend my days enjoying life.
If I won $1 million, I personally would probably quit work and apply to a better university. So then you need money to get into college in the States, so that would really help me out. I think I'd definitely buy a new house, maybe not a huge mansion, but I wouldn't be renting anymore, that's for sure.
If I won $1 million, what would I do? Now, I don't have the need to have any really special large possessions such as a house or expensive car. I think that I would put the $1 million somewhere safe where there's no risk of anything like the stock market, and I would live off of the interest for the rest of my life. Even in a very safe circumstance, the return would probably be 3 or 4%, being $30 or $40,000 a year, and I think that I could comfortably live off of that and allow me to travel and see the places in the world that I haven't been to yet.
Wow, this question is really great. What would I do with $1 million? Wow, I would probably invest all this money, but invest in my own businesses. These days I just think about making business, starting business, so I just want to work for myself. So I would probably invest my money creating businesses and working for myself. It would be something really like that.
Okay, $1 million. If I won $1 million, I would go around the world. I haven't been to Africa, and I'd really like to go. Secondly, I'd buy a really big house with a really big television. Then after, if I had any money left, I would invest. Maybe give some to my parents.
I've been caught in lies several times. One I remember, it was when I was like still young. I was maybe 15, and I was supposed to go to a friend's house just to sleep at home. But in fact, I just went to party with some friends. I drink some alcohol, and then we get catched by the police. So I have to lie to my mother, I'm afraid, and she's after that she has been aware of this like 2 weeks after maybe, and it was like really bad moment for me.
Well, as a matter of fact, no, I have not, because I'm quite an honest person, I would say. But on April, on April Fool Day, I used to have a white lie to my friends, but it's not a deal. It's not a big thing, because I just lied to her about, like the class was cancelled, and then she kind of believed, and she didn't go to class that day, and then the next following day, and she found out about that, and she was really mad at me. But she said then, well, because of your lie, I have a day off, so thank you.
Have I ever been caught in a lie? To be honest, I don't think I have. The reason is not because I'm such a good person, an honest person who never tells a lie, but actually I'm such a good liar that no one ever knows when I'm telling a lie. It can be a little bit dangerous, so sometimes I have to stop myself from telling a lie.
Oh yeah, I lie all the time. I've been caught many times in lies, and I think you should not lie because it always catches up to you. But yeah, I'm a bad person. I lie often, and I get caught many times.
Yes, I've been caught in a lie by my father. I used to manage, I used to know how to lie to him, but this moment it was quite hard because he saw a lighter in my bag, and I couldn't lie because he saw it, and he was like, "Do you smoke?" And I said, "No." But then I laughed, and since we are very complice together, so he just didn't say anything and put the lighter back on the back in the bag.
Have I ever been caught in a lie? Well, I can't remember a moment in my life where I've been caught in a lie. I know everybody plays Pinocchio sometimes, but when we are kids, we used to make little lies. We tell little lies, but I don't really remember a single moment where I've been caught in a lie. Not any serious lie. No, I really can't remember.
I would like to visit Sri Lanka because I like a little bit Indian culture, but India is so big. But Sri Lanka has something special, and I think people are very friendly, happy, and outgoing in that country.
What country would I like to visit? I'd really like to visit Norway, United States, and Britain, because I think I'd learn a lot more from those countries, and I'm really interested in, for instance, maybe natural resources. That's for Norway. United States, the kind of living, Britain, it's more like an educational thing for me.
Actually, I would like to visit Bangladesh. It's a very interesting country, I think. I'm very curious about it. I like the food. So Bangladesh would be the country that I would like to visit.
I'd really like to visit China. Ever since I was a young boy, I was really fascinated by Chinese culture, Chinese food, Chinese language. I'd love to see the Great Wall, Beijing, and especially Shanghai. It's a very modern city.
I'd love to go to Egypt. I'm fascinated by the ancient history and the pyramids, and I like all the stories about the River Nile. And also, I like scuba diving, and I hear the scuba diving there is really good. So I think Egypt would be the one place I'd like to visit most.
I've never been to South America. In South America, I think I'd like to visit Brazil. It seems to have a good mix of beaches and mountains, and that's the kind of holiday I like.
How often do I eat fast foods? I'm really not a fan of fast foods, but when I get the craving, I just listen to it and go to either one of the fast food restaurants or shops and just get myself a nice burger or fries.
Not very often. I don't like going to fast food restaurants because I really don't have a very strong digestion system. So therefore, if I go to eat fast food, I don't feel very good. So I prefer the food that is better quality than fast food.
Fast food, fast food. Oh, since college, it's probably only once a month or less. Again, back in high school, it used to be maybe 3 times a week. But where I live now, I can't find a lot of fast food restaurants, so I think that's the reason why I don't eat so much now.
Fast food, one too many, because the bus stop where I take the bus to school, and in front of the bus stop there is a burger joint, so it's very convenient for me to just grab my lunch from there. And sometimes when I'm on my way back home, I also get my dinner. But of course it's not healthy, but then again, because it's so convenient, so that's the hard thing. But I'm thinking of cutting down on the fast food.
Fast food? Every time I crave for it. There's this really great hamburger joint, like right outside my house, and I just can't stop eating it. I have to go there maybe at least once a week just to grab those burgers.
I eat fast food, I think, only once a week, and it's usually when I don't have time to cook, because I'm a very big fan of cooking. So if I eat fast food, it'll be on the weekends when it's really late and I don't want to cook.